Nora met Daniel at the university library. She was soft-spoken, brilliant, and always carried a notebook filled with poetry. Daniel was drawn to her laughter, not loud, but full of light. He was the first to call her beautiful in a way that made her believe it. They married 2 years after graduation and built a life together in Lagos. Daniel started his construction business. Nora worked from home as a writer. Together, they had 5 children, 3 boys and 2 girls, and their home was filled with noise, laughter, chaos, and love. As the years passed, Nora gave up her firm belly and slim arms to motherhood. The midnight feedings, the emergency school calls, the cooking, and endless caring, it all changed her body. She didn't complain. She was raising their family. She thought Daniel understood. By the time he said it, she already knew. But nothing could prepare her for the way it shattered her spirit. Nora stood at the kitchen sink, washing the last of the dinner plates. The soft hum of her younger son playing in the living room blended with the buzz of a late Lagos evening. She had spent the whole day juggling a sick toddler, a pile of laundry, homework with her teenage daughter, and managing 2 missed deadlines for the freelance writing projects she barely had time to pursue. She heard him before she saw him, Daniel. Her husband of 14 years. His keys dropped on the entry table like always, his shoes came off, and he walked into the kitchen with his usual straight face. No hello. No smile. Just silence. Then came the words. I want a divorce. Nora froze, her hands still wet. Her mind tried to fill in the gaps, searching for context, an explanation. Maybe he was joking, maybe he was angry about something. But when she turned around and met his eyes, there was no playfulness. No frustration. Just emptiness. Why? She asked in a whisper that didn't sound like her own. He shifted awkwardly, leaning against the counter. I'm no longer attracted to you, Nora. You've changed, physically. You've let yourself go. You're not the woman I married. She blinked, her heart beating so loudly she could hear it in her ears. Not the woman he married. He meant the weight. The softness around her arms. The belly that refused to flatten after 5 children. The stretch marks that mapped her skin like a story no one asked to read. She had changed, yes, but not because she was careless. Because she had lived. The late night feedings. The C-section scars. The skipped meals. The exhaustion. The years spent putting her family first while forgetting the woman she once was. Her body had transformed not out of neglect, but out of love, and he couldn't see it. He left a week later. Packed his things neatly. Kissed the kids on their foreheads as if he was going on a short trip. He didn't cry. He didn't even pause. Nora sat on the edge of their bed for hours that night, the silence around her heavy and suffocating. She couldn't sleep. Every memory felt like a betrayal now, the wedding vows, the nights he held her after giving birth, the jokes they shared over burnt dinners and baby tantrums. She remembered the girl she was when they first met. Young. Slim. Always laughing. She wore fitted dresses and red lipstick. She remembered how he used to touch her like she was the most beautiful thing in the world. But life changed her. Each child carved a different version of her. The woman she became was not less, she was more. More giving. More understanding. More tired. But also, more complete. She had raised 5 human beings, often alone while he chased contracts and investors. Still, he left. Not because she had failed as a wife or mother, but because he chose to measure her worth by her waistline. The days blurred into weeks. The children kept asking, when is Daddy coming back? And she kept smiling, hiding her broken heart behind bedtime stories and warm bowls of soup. At night, she cried softly into her pillow, her body aching from holding it all together. Then, something shifted. One evening, after tucking in the last of her children, Nora stood in front of the mirror. She looked at herself, not with pity, but with the eyes of a stranger seeing an old friend. Her arms were full and strong. Her stomach was soft but sacred. Her eyes, though tired, still held a quiet fire. This was not the body of failure. It was the body of survival. She picked up her old notebook from the drawer, the one she hadn't touched in years, and began to write. At first just a few words. Then paragraphs. Then pages. She poured her pain, her joy, her rage, her love, all of it, into poetry. Into stories. Into healing. She joined a local women's support group. At first, she sat at the back, listening. But as time passed, she began to speak. She shared her story. She saw nods of understanding. Tears. Applause. Hugs. She realized she wasn't alone. And with each story shared, she grew lighter. Not physically, emotionally. She laughed again. Danced with her daughters in the living room. Wore bright colors. Not to impress anyone, but because she liked how they made her feel. Then one Saturday morning, Daniel returned. He stood at the door with flowers. With a soft, sheepish smile. "Nora," he began. I made a mistake." She stood still, her hands folded. He looked at her, truly looked at her, and saw someone radiant. Not because she was thinner. Not because she had changed for him. But because she had found herself again, and she didn't need him to shine. "I miss the kids. I miss you. You look amazing." She nodded politely. "I looked like this when you left. You just weren't looking." He tried to take her hand. She gently pulled away. "Daniel, I loved you with everything I had. I carried your children. I gave you my best years. But you left when I needed you most. You left not because I changed, but because you didn't understand what love truly is." He opened his mouth, but no words came out. "You wanted a woman who didn't age, who didn't stretch, who didn't grow tired. That woman doesn't exist, Daniel. I'm not sorry for becoming more, I'm only sorry you didn't grow with me." He looked down. Ashamed. Defeated. I was wrong." She smiled gently. "Yes. And now, I'm choosing myself." He walked away slowly. This time, for good. And she didn't cry. Instead, she turned to her children, her writing, her peace. She gave talks to women across the country about reclaiming their worth. She published a book titled, The Weight of Love, a tribute to every woman who had ever been made to feel small because she became more. She no longer saw her body as damaged. She saw it as a sacred home that carried life, love, pain, and strength. One day, her youngest daughter came to her and asked, "Mommy, are you happy?" She knelt down, cupped her daughter's face, and said, "Yes, baby. I am. Because I finally remembered